They say that no one would willingly choose to live in an abandoned house. It's too creepy, too dark, and too expensive to maintain. But there are thousands of homes around the world left vacant due to various reasons, like death, crime, or tragic accidents. And these empty houses make for the perfect hunting ground for those looking to make a quick buck by salvaging materials from them. Welcome back, everyone. Here today we're going to explore the top 10 horror stories from people who have salvaged items from abandoned houses. So grab a flashlight, a crowbar, and some friends, because it's time to break into some ghost stories. Number 10. The Vanishing Hitchhiker. It was 2007 when 21-year-old Lauren Spire disappeared without a trace. She had been last seen hitchhiking on the side of a highway near her home in Indiana. After leaving a friend's car at a music festival, police searched for weeks before calling off the search efforts and classifying her disappearance as suspicious. In 2018, urban explorer Matthew Mankiewicz decided to investigate the abandoned house where Lauren had last been seen. He and his team explored the property, taking photographs and searching for clues. What they found was disturbing. Although the house appeared to have been abandoned for many years, there were signs of recent activity. There were cigarette butts outside, and what looked to be recent tire tracks in the dirt road leading up to the home. But perhaps most disturbing were the strange markings on the walls inside, which appeared to be scratchings from fingernails. Some online sleuths believe these markings could have spelled out Lauren's name. This eerie discovery led police to re-examine the case, although so far no new evidence has been uncovered. Number 9. Haunted Doll. Urban explorer Steven Stanfield was exploring an abandoned hospital in Pittsburgh with his team when he came across a little girl's doll sitting on a bed. According to local legend, the hospital is haunted by a little girl named Lucy, who died in the 1950s after being denied an abortion by the nuns who ran the facility. Since then, patients and visitors have reported hearing the sound of footsteps and disembodied whispers throughout the building. After finding the doll, Steven and his team continued their investigation and soon discovered other signs of Lucy's presence, such as a diary hidden under a floorboard. The pages contained chilling entries detailing the little girl's deteriorating mental state, as she became increasingly desperate for the abortion she was denied. While there's no proof the spirit of Lucy still haunts the building, Steven's discovery of the doll and diary certainly adds to the hospital's eerie reputation. No. 8. The Secret Room. In 2013, a group of urban explorers known as the City Discreet set out to investigate an abandoned house in Detroit. The team entered through a broken window and began exploring the dusty rooms inside. They discovered old family photos and personal items left behind by the former owner, giving them a glimpse into the lives of the people who once lived there. However, it was in the basement that they made their most shocking discovery. Hidden behind a false wall was a secret room containing strange symbols and writings. The explorers couldn't decipher the meaning of the symbols, but they believed they may have been part of a secret society or cult that had used the house as a meeting place. The team contacted the police, who sent in a bomb squad to investigate further. It turned out the symbols were not dangerous, but their presence in the secret room added an unsettling twist to the house's history. Number 7. Ghostly Guests. When Ashley and her friends decided to spend the night in an abandoned house, they were expecting a few jump scares and maybe some strange whispers. What they weren't expecting was to be joined by an entire ghostly guest list. The group had heard rumors that the house was haunted by the spirits of a family who had died in the home decades ago, but they didn't believe it until they started experiencing strange phenomena firsthand. Throughout the night, they heard footsteps, shaking, and even voices speaking in an unknown language. Then things took a terrifying turn. One of the friends pulled out a camera to capture an image of the darkness, when suddenly the flash turned on by itself. The photo revealed the dark figure of an elderly woman standing behind them. Another friend then noticed a mist rising from the floor, and as they watched, it formed into a full-bodied apparition of a young girl. Terrified, the group fled the house and never went back. Number 6. A Gruesome Discovery. Urban explorer Ben Putt and his team were investigating an abandoned house in Ohio when they stumbled upon something truly disturbing. While exploring the basement, they discovered a hidden room with a single wooden door. As they approached, they heard chains dragging metal moans. Assuming it was just the wind, they opened the door and gasped. Inside was a rusted metal cage, reminiscent of those used in old prisons. But that wasn't the only thing that made their blood run cold. Scattered around the cage were human bones. Ben immediately contacted the police, who sent in a forensic team to examine the remains. After several weeks, the team determined that the bones belonged to a man who had gone missing in the 1950s. His name was Walter Ramsdahl, and according to local records, he had been an inmate at a nearby psychiatric hospital. How he ended up in the cage in the basement of the abandoned house remains a mystery. No, 5. The attic guest. Emma and her sister were exploring their late grandmother's attic when they heard a strange noise above them. Thinking it was just a bird, they continued rummaging through the boxes of old family belongings. But the noise continued, and it soon became clear that whatever was up there was moving around. Terrified, the sisters grabbed a baseball bat and returned to the attic stairs. As they ascended, they heard a loud crash followed by heavy footsteps. When they reached the top of the stairs, they saw a dark figure standing in the corner. Emma screamed and the figure vanished. Later, while sorting through their grandmother's belongings, they discovered an old diary. In it, Emma learned that her grandmother had had a strange encounter in the same attic years ago. She had heard similar footsteps and turned to find a ghostly figure standing over her. As Emma read the diary, she realized that the attic had always been a portal to the supernatural. Number 4. Messages from Beyond. When urban explorer Stephen Stanfield and his team investigated an abandoned house in Pennsylvania, they were hoping to uncover some interesting history. Instead, they received messages from beyond the grave. As they explored the home, they heard disembodied voices whispering their names. At first, they assumed it was just the wind. But then they started finding objects that had been moved or broken. As they investigated further, they discovered a hidden room with strange symbols and writings on the walls. Using an app designed to detect electromagnetic fields, they found that the energy levels were high near the symbols. Believing that the symbols may hold some kind of power, they tried communicating with the spirits in the room, and what happened next shocked them to their core. As they spoke, the temperature in the room dropped dramatically, and a ghostly figure began to form in front of them. It was the apparition of a young girl who appeared to be trying to communicate with them. Fortunately, the explorers were unable to understand her message before she vanished. Number 3. The Ghost Train. Urban explorer Stephen Stanfield and his team were exploring an abandoned rail line in Ohio when they heard a distant whistle in the wind. At first, they thought nothing of it until they realized that no trains were supposed to be on this track. As they walked along the tracks, the whistle grew louder, and soon they could hear the sound of a train approaching. Terrified, they jumped off the tracks and into the bushes just in time to see a ghostly train rumble past. The train was old-fashioned, pulled by a massive steam engine, and as it passed by, they could see shadowy figures waving from the windows. But there was no sound of bells or whistles, just the eerie silence of the night. As the train disappeared into the distance, they knew they had just witnessed something truly paranormal. Number 2. Haunted House. A group of urban explorers known as the Envy Esther team decided to spend the night in an abandoned house in New Jersey. The house had been abandoned for decades, and according to local legend, was haunted by the ghost of a young woman who had died there in the early 1900s. As the night wore on, strange things began to happen. Doors slammed shut, footsteps echoed in the hallway, and the team even saw the shadow of a woman walking down the stairs. But that wasn't all. As they explored the house further, they found a diary belonging to the woman who had died there all those years ago. The diary contained disturbing entries describing the woman's deteriorating mental state and her growing paranoia that someone was haunting her in the house. The team soon realized that they weren't alone and that the ghost was trying to communicate with them. No. 1. A shadowy figure. Urban explorer Stephen Stanfield and his team were investigating an abandoned house in Texas. When they heard a strange noise in the attic, assuming it was just an animal, they continued exploring the house until they heard the noise again. This time it was followed by the sound of footsteps. As they cautiously approached the attic stairs, they saw a dark shadow figure standing in the corner. Terrified, they fled the house and never returned. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more. Till next time, stay safe and happy haunting.